Hey, just to keep it totally real, uh, I'm at a silent retreat now, just a weekend retreat here in Oklahoma. And, a couple days ago, I had that walk where I felt so open and so free and so unbound and full of wonder. And a series of seemingly small things kind of snowballed me back into a really contracted state where even the clouds were mocking me. It's like everything is just, I mean, different things that sort of reminded me or put me in a mindset of helplessness and shame and frustration and shame and, like even just sort of the way that I responded to somebody on social media to an anti-vaxxer, basically. Really, that sort of control mindset came back where it's like, I don't want to engage with this person. I want to shut this down. I want to shut down all the ignorance in the world, I want to control things. I want things to be the way I want them to be. And then feeling shame about that. But then feeling, but we're just going to let kids die based on this misinformation. But of course, that's what they say. They think they're the ones saving children because we're the ones with the misinformation. And that's not to say that like everything is totally relative and there's no facts never matter. I'm not saying that, but first of all, I'm not going to reach everybody. I'm just not. I'm not going to save everybody. Second, if I want to reach at least some people, disdain is not the way to do it, And sometimes you just got to draw a boundary and be like, I'm not going to engage on this. And I tried that. And then other people started engaging. And then somebody said something. And then, I got sucked in again, basically. So I was ashamed of being sucked in. I was ashamed of wasting my time on social media at all at that point. I was ashamed of the way that I was contracted and behaving. And then, one thought leads to another thought. One thought, it's like gravity. Like you get a bunch of rocks and they start attracting other rocks, and then, like out in space, and pretty soon you have this sort of spinning ball of magma that, seems unmanageable. And so, driving an hour and a half to this weekend retreat, it's just like a really bad feeling in my gut. Beautiful redbud trees. Screw them. It's like, and then, shamed, like, why do I have this terrible attitude, blah, blah, blah. So the difference is, it's like I kind of understand that the pendulum swings both ways. And I don't take it so personally when the pendulum swings in the difficult way. And I understand that when you're in the process, that's how it goes. It's pendulum. It's like as free and open and enormous as you feel. It's almost like it's gonna go the other way that much. But the difference is now, it's like the difference between when you're maybe like you're surfing on the ocean, right? And sometimes it's calm, it's fine. You're just kind of maybe surfing some small waves, chilling out, enjoying the beauty of it. Other times it's kind of like medium waves and like you go, that's its own thing. Other time it's like really rough weather and it's cold and there's rocks that the surf is picking up and just pelting everywhere. And, you kind of, you fall off. It used to be that I'd fall off the surfboard and my wetsuit would fall off. And then all of a sudden I'm just like naked being battered by rocks and, churned under, I can't breathe, don't know which way's up. And in this case, it's like I can kind of stay on the surfboard. And everything's the same rocks, same surf, same cold. But I still have, I keep my wetsuit on, basically, which it's not cheating to keep your wetsuit on. Doesn't mean you're not feeling the cold. It just means you got a layer of, I don't know, psychological strength, capacity, experience. And then as far as staying on the surfboard, the water's splashing all over you and you have to concentrate pretty hard sometimes to stay on it. And sometimes you fall off, but then you get back on again, I don't know, or maybe it's more like you're in a river, you're swimming in a river, and you get to some rapids, and it used to be that you just flail around when you got to the rapids and feel like the world is ending. And now it's like, oh, here's some rapids again. Okay, I know what to do. And you might lose you kind of, maybe you swim with the current. You sort of dodge the biggest rocks. You might still hit some, but it's like it's the same current, it's the same waves, it's the same rapids as always, and you're still in them. But there's perspective and there's capacity, and that whatever the weather is, it's always going to change, and it's nothing personal. And I also this morning, and often these, if you can allow, how do I say, if you can kind of ride these times with an open mind, I guess, an insight can come. And one insight came this morning when I, it was biscuits and gravy for breakfast, and I was thinking of my grandma who used to make awesome biscuits and gravy in this tiny little kitchen where everyone was like in the kitchen eating too. The kitchen table was in the kitchen, this tiny kitchen. It was so crowded in there. She literally and there's no counter space. She literally would dice onions in her hand. Like she just had the onion in her hand while dicing it, not on a cutting board. Somehow seamlessly everyone had an egg to order, even though she only had like a little tiny electric stove. But anyway, I was thinking well, I guess you're free now, Grandma. She died a while back, and free. Maybe you're free from all this patriarchal bullshit, right? And then I was like, maybe she liked patriarchal bullshit. Maybe that, I mean, I'm not going to say one way is true or the other way. But all of our sort of period pieces now that look back on those times, it's always about women overcoming patriarchal bullshit or suffering patriarchal bullshit. And all that's true, totally true. But at the same time, some people find meaning within certain paradigms that maybe I think are outdated or wouldn't fit me at all. And I think, I mean, you know, you look at Ken Wilber's scale. I mean, who knows if he really knows what he's talking about. He seems kind of kooky these days. But anyway, the progression, and I mean, it doesn't take Ken Wilber to kind of see that there is a progression toward egalitarianism and connection between all people, as opposed to rigid cultural, tribal hierarchies, where some people, because of how they were born, no matter what their actual abilities are subjugated to others. I mean, that has pretty predictable and pretty negative knock-on effects. And I mean, you can say postmodernism and, you know, yeah, postmodernism is kind of a mess too, in a lot of ways. People aren't that happy, aren't finding a lot of meaning now necessarily either. And maybe even if it is a progression through time, at a given time, is it my place to tell somebody who finds meaning in a patriarchal situation that their meaning is not valid? It's like, no, you have to be just like me, otherwise you're not valid. Obviously, I have my preference, but equally, obviously, they have theirs. And you hear of people escaping cults, escaping rigid places where your individual spark, your individual, what's the word? Possibilities, potential, that's it. Your individual potential is squelched. And, but we don't see a lot of movies, for obvious reasons, because it's not a plot, of people who take meaning from their cult or their hierarchy or their rigid social structure. It doesn't make a good movie if somebody's happy in a given culture. And of course, I silo myself, and so does Hollywood. Generally speaking, they have an overall ideology that generally matches mine as far as egalitarianism and overcoming rigid hierarchies and whatnot to find your individual potential, individual spark, all that kind of stuff. But there are people, millions of people, who are reasonably content inside their pre-modern, or I forget what the exact term is for, I guess, tribalistic, conservative, and so on. So it just, guess, a moment of not wanting to speak for my grandma, who might have been perfectly happy. It might have been optimally happy in her scenario, given other alternatives. My wish not to speak for her gave me a moment of like empathy for people I disagree with, and a little bit of a broader perspective, for better or worse. So yeah, just some thoughts.